The Pocket 2 is a small, handheld, pocket-sized camera that can shoot 4K at 60 frames per second. It has tracking and a mechanical gimbal. It's a great camera whether you want to take quick videos and photos or you're shooting more scripted content. After using the original Osmo Pocket and the updated Pocket 2, I've learned a few tips and tricks that can help you guys shoot better videos and get the most out of this camera. This is an expansion of my original Osmo Pocket tips and tricks video. That video is still applicable to this camera, and I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. I've made sure not to overlap too many tips and tricks in the Pocket cameras, so this video will primarily focus on the Pocket 2, obviously, but be sure to check out that other video after this one. My first tip for the Pocket 2 is to keep it with you at all times. The size and weight of this camera make it so easy to just throw in a bag or a backpack and really forget about it until you need to get a shot. Apart from the small footprint of the camera, it also starts up quickly and it gets ready to shoot very fast. Before the world shut down, I would keep my original Osmo Pocket in my backpack that I took to work with me, and I even had a couple accessories, and I honestly didn't realize they were in my backpack until I wanted to get a shot, and then I could take my camera out and easily get that shot quickly. That saying of the best camera is the one you have with you really rings true with the Pocket 2. I find myself using this camera more than my phone's camera when I have the option between the two. My next tip is to enable Pro Mode. Enabling Pro Mode is the only way to manually adjust your camera settings. I'm not sure why DJI just doesn't call this manual and auto mode like every other camera that's ever existed, but the Pocket uses this terminology, and I'm not sure why they thought this was a good idea, but make sure when you first get the camera to switch over to Pro Mode to manually adjust your settings. The auto settings are okay, but they're not great. The next tip is an opinionated one, and use your best judgment here. For the best results, don't use battery saver mode. Battery saver mode reduces the overall bitrate of your footage to preserve battery life. Using high quality will deplete your battery faster, and it will heat up the camera, but it will also give you a higher bitrate and a more usable shot to work with if you're editing your footage further. If you're just shooting a quick clip for Instagram, this isn't a huge deal, but if you're trying to color grade your footage and edit it and push it further in post, then definitely use high quality mode here. One thing to note here that not all frame rates and resolutions are compatible with high quality mode. I've done some testing at the time of recording, and these are the resolutions and frame rates that are compatible with high quality mode. This may change in the future, and if it does, I'll update the pinned comment below. My fourth tip for the Pocket 2 is to zoom in on your footage, but if it's possible, just move closer and don't use the zoom. A new feature of this Pocket 2 is the ability to zoom in on your footage, but it's not an optical zoom. You're digitally zooming in on your footage, so you're not really gaining any image quality here. But if you just want to zoom in on your footage and you do not want to do it in post, this is a great feature, and the zooming is actually pretty smooth. My next tip piggybacks off the previous tip, and that is to configure the scroll bar on the back screen of the Pocket 2. The scroll bar on the screen can be configured to either tilt the camera or zoom in on your footage, depending on what you want to do. Now that we're halfway through the Pocket 2 tips and tricks, I just want to say I've been looking at my analytics lately, and 5% of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel. We gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe and like the video. If you're a returning subscriber and part of that 5%, thank you so much and welcome back. Okay, my sixth tip for the Pocket 2 is to mount your phone to the camera if you're able to. The most common way I use the Pocket 2 is to attach my phone, and not only to have a larger screen, but to make it easier to adjust settings quickly and increase the overall footprint of the Pocket 2. Attaching your phone makes the camera overall larger and just easy to hold. You think having a smaller camera would be better, but the camera is so light, I find myself moving the Pocket 2 around while I'm filming, and when I don't have any accessories or my phone attached, it's just harder to get smoother footage. But when I have more camera and weight to hold, it's easier to get smoother footage while I'm filming. It sounds counterintuitive at first, but if you're having issues keeping your footage steady, try adding your phone and a phone holder to your Pocket 2. My seventh tip for the Pocket 2 is to use the do-it-all handle like I have here. I've been using the do-it-all handle a lot lately, and it's also great if I'm using the Pocket 2 and I can't use it with my phone, because this just makes the overall footprint of this larger and I don't accidentally touch the screen with my finger while I'm using it without the handle. The do-it-all handle also allows you to charge the Pocket 2 while it's standing up, since the USB-C port is on the back. This is great for time lapses and longer form content. It also has a tripod mount on the bottom, a speaker on the front, and a microphone and a headphone port on the side. The do-it-all handle also fits in the DJI case that comes with the camera. However, it doesn't fit in the Pocket 2 charging case, obviously. I use the charging case with my Osmo Pocket 1 and I loved it. I use it all the time and I loved having my camera charged all the time because I would keep it with me and then I would just throw it back in that case and it was enough juice to charge it 2 or 3 times before I had to charge the case again. And I would just leave the case on overnight so I wouldn't really have to think about constantly charging my camera. I don't have the charging case for the Pocket 2 because it's just sold out everywhere, but when it comes in stock again, I'm going to purchase that just to have it, even if I can't use it with the do-it-all handle. Always having it charged is just a really nice option. As nice as the do-it-all handle is though, it does seem weird that I have to buy an external device to get Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, mic in, headphone out, a speaker, and a tripod mount on this device. Just saying that is a mouthful, and it seems like it should have had all that stuff just included in the camera itself. Maybe this was like a cost-saving measure or something just to keep the base price of the kit lower. I'm not sure, but either way, adding the do-it-all handle unlocks a lot of features. I just wish all these features were just included in the camera itself. My next tip for the Pocket 2, and this honestly could be a video on itself, but know which audio source you want to use based on your situation. The audio on the original Osmo Pocket really wasn't the greatest, but the Pocket 2 has updated onboard microphones that are a big improvement. The addition of a wireless mic that gets directly embedded into the video of your Pocket 2 is a huge benefit. It's also extremely easy to use. Just attach the do-it-all handle to your Pocket 2 and turn on the wireless mic, and they'll immediately pair together. The first time I paired them together, the Pocket 2 installed a firmware update for the transmitter, which took around 30 seconds to a minute to do, and I didn't have to do anything. They just connected and did it all themselves. You can also plug a mic directly into the do-it-all handle. This is great if you have a shotgun microphone with a phone mount, or if you have a lav mic and you're just filming yourself. It's great to just pin a lav to your collar and then plug it directly into the Pocket 2. I also did a test with the wireless microphone, and I plugged my shotgun mic into the wireless transmitter and started recording, and then mid-record I unplugged the shotgun mic to see if it would transfer over to here, and it transferred over with no issue. I also did a test where I was recording with the wireless transmitter and turned it off to simulate the battery dying, just to see if the onboard audio would switch over on that same clip without starting to a new clip. And I'm really glad to say that it just all worked. The audio obviously wasn't as good as using a shotgun microphone or the lapel mic, but it is nice to know that if my wireless transmitter dies or a mic gets pulled out, it will automatically switch to the onboard microphones of the Pocket 2. I like the wireless microphone transmitter, and there are 2 different ways you can use it. You can clip it to yourself and use it like this, or my preferred way is that you can plug a lav mic into it and use this as a transmitter that will transmit the audio from this mic, which is much smaller and less bulky than pinning this to your collar, and it will just embed the audio directly into your Pocket 2 footage. A lav mic lets you conceal the mic a little easier, and if you're wearing certain kinds of shirts like a sweatshirt or a button-up shirt, you can just pin it inside and you might not even be able to see the mic, and it will be much less distracting than having this giant box pinned to your collar, which is a little too bulky for my preference, but the mic on here is really good, and you can use the included windscreen to attach so you don't get those weird breathing or wind noises across the mic if you're just using it like this. So this is a viable option, but I just prefer plugging in a lav mic and kind of concealing it a little more. My next tip for the Pocket 2 is to use ActiveTrack, but understand its limitations. ActiveTrack on the Pocket 2 is pretty good, but it's not a perfect tracking mode yet. It's able to track subjects pretty quickly in ideal lighting conditions, but it does struggle in low light. It seems to jump around a bit between tracking points, more in low light situations, and it can ruin your shot if you move too quickly. The more light you have, the more you can get away with when using ActiveTrack. I have an entire section on my Osmo Pocket tips and tricks video that is just dedicated to ActiveTrack, so be sure to check that video out after this one. I'll leave a link at the end of this video. My next tip for the Pocket 2 is to keep your ISO as low as possible. This camera sensor is slightly better than the Osmo Pockets, but it's still not large enough to handle those low light situations. Keeping the ISO as low as possible will give you the best results. For my tests, 100 is obviously the best, 200 to 400 is workable, 800 is noticeable, 1600 is very noticeable, 3200 is really distracting, and 6400 is just kind of unusable. That being said, this is all relative though. If you're just using this camera to capture moments you want preserved and you don't mind higher ISO and grain in your shots, then that's fine. But if you're looking to have the cleanest image possible, color grade, and edit your footage a little bit, let's try to keep your ISO below 400. The next tip I have for people looking to get the best quality out of their footage is to know the color, resolution, and frame rates that you're going to be shooting in. Right now, the Pocket 2 can't record 4K 60 frames per second in decent-alike, but it can record decent-alike in 4K 24 frames per second. Speaking from experience, it's easy to start shooting decent-alike in 4K 24 frames per second and switch over to 4K 60, and the camera automatically switches your color mode to normal. Matching multiple different color profiles in your editing process will just make things more complicated, so if you plan on shooting your video with multiple frame rates, it's better to do your homework and know the limitations of decent-alike or your normal picture profiles. I did some looking around, and these are the frame rates and resolutions that are compatible with normal and decent-alike. Now for some shortcuts I used while I was using the Pocket 2. There are more shortcuts out there probably, but these are the ones that I found myself using most often. To quickly turn on the Pocket 2, instead of holding the button on the side, press and hold the button on the back right. It's not much of a speed difference, but it also doesn't turn around into selfie mode first before you start filming. To change between photo and video modes, single tap the right button on the back of the Pocket 2. To lock the gimbal in place, press and hold the right back button. To recenter the gimbal, double tap the back right button. To turn the gimbal around into selfie mode, triple tap the right back button. If you've watched my RS2 video, you know how I feel about this mode. A few touchscreen controls I've used a lot were single tapping the screen to focus the camera. Double tapping the screen will initiate ActiveTrack. I typically single tap the screen and then double tap to initiate ActiveTrack just to make sure I'm in focus. To switch the recording mode, swipe from the right side. To further adjust the settings, swipe from the right again. To quickly view images, swipe from the left side. Swiping from the left side again will allow you to favorite or delete shots. Swipe up to adjust the gimbal modes and follow speeds. To recenter or flip the camera, just use the right button combinations, it's just faster. To adjust settings quickly, swipe from the top. The first setting adjusts your on-screen slider between the zoom and the gimbal tilt. The second page is the general settings, which I don't use very much. Third are the glamour effects that I've never touched. Fourth, toggles between battery saver and high quality mode. The last page enables or disables pro mode. I always leave this on. If you haven't checked out my Osmo Pocket tips and tricks, be sure to check that one out using the link above or down below in the description. This video is an extension of that video, so there's a lot of helpful information in that video that's still applicable to the Pocket 2. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe and share it with a friend. If you didn't like this video, share it with someone you don't like. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next videos.